Bitcast. I'm here again with my boy Will. How you doing, Will?
Pretty good, pretty good. How you
That's what's
doing?
up. I got a little sinus thing going on. I'm trying to, kick. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I just had the worst sickness ever the other week, so
Oh
I'm
yeah,
off
yeah,
of that.
yeah. So you're going through what I went through when my daughter first started going to daycare.
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, I think I'm gonna have that forever though, for at
Oh
least a
yeah,
while.
it don't stop. As you can see, I got a sinus thing going on.
Yeah,
Definitely got it from her.
your girl grow older. My girlfriend's staying at daycare,
Oh
so she's
yeah.
working there.
So she likes it, right?
Oh yeah, she loves it.
She
Yeah,
likes it.
a lot of her family does daycare work in preschool, so
So she gonna be there for the long haul.
yeah, especially she's one of those fancy, expensive daycares
Oh, she there for.
for like rich
They
people. Yeah,
probably got like security gate or whatever where you got to punch in a code. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how my daycare is. So she gonna be there for a while. Yeah.
Good benefits, so that's what matters.
So I would just tell you to make a lot of homemade. Like go to a Walmart or wherever's close to you. Get a lot of frozen fruits and make yourself some homemade smoothies to boost your immune
Mm,
system. That's all
yeah,
I'm
that
saying.
should do it. I've
Take
been
some
into
vitamin D's
teas.
too. So that's all. But we're
Hey,
here
black.
today to talk about a very, it's Black History Month. Shout out to Black History Month.
Ooh.
Um, we're going to talk about two movies that really put Black cinema on the map, and the year was 2018. We're talking about Black Panther and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I almost forgot the name for a second. Um, two movies that were massive, huge, that convinced Hollywood for whatever reason they didn't think that black movies were profitable. They decided, hey, black movies are profitable. Black people will come to these things if we make them. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
keep making them. you
I'm
know,
making like good ones of the Tyler Perry ones, which are good, very good, but there's a
uh,
lot of them.
we can get into that.
Yeah, yeah. And why those didn't shoot off before Black Panther,
Cause you're like me, Will. Like we got a high bar. We plus we're blurs. We like science fiction, anime,
Yep.
comic book stuff. So we're blurs. And to be fair, you know, comic books did start it out where they had black characters and they started out rough, but then they got better. Hollywood, on the other hand, when it came to black characters in superhero movies, they weren't really given good treatment. you know,
Exactly.
I mean, look at Black Panther is part of the MCU. Um, Before that, we had what War Machine. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's always like a
which
secondary sidekick, but yeah.
it was a secondary sidekick. We had War Machine and Falcon. Um,
Oh, right.
and
This
both of
show's
those
great.
characters. Now the show came out later.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember when both of those characters got introduced in the MCU,
Oh, it's
bro?
too long ago.
Bro, this is literally a line in Captain America: Civil War. Falcon literally says to Steve, "Hey, I just do what you do. I just do it slower." Like, bro,
Yep.
come on,
Yeah, it's
come on, bro. Like, I was like, MCU, we could do better than this, bro. Like,
oh
come on,
god.
man.
Yeah.
That was an actual line the dude said, and I was like, come on, man, come on, bro. I know you and I know a guy. We'll say his name, Duran Metagriz, who loves Falcon, and he tried to debate one time about MCU Falcon. Now, if he was debating about Falcon from the comics, that's a different thing.
Right.
He
Different
was
character.
debating MCU Falcon, and I was like, bro, stop. You got nothing to sit on. I got one line I gotta say, and it's that line that shuts everything down, bro. Come on, man. Like,
Yeah, it really diminishes the character a little bit. Like, I just, I don't know,
bro.
it just downplays it a lot, and it's like, ooh,
Yeah, I mean, those characters were really just the sidekick, and I mean that in every sense of the word. War Machine and Falcon were just they just weren't good. It was nice to have them, but it's like, come on, man. At the time, it was the early 2010s, and it's like, yo, we can do better than this, guys.
Yeah, it's a nice
Like
representation, and it's like a lot of things right now. Like people see a lot of representation, but it's not like actually inspiring representation. It's more like they're just there doing their part, being a part of it, and
yes, yes, and I mean, we like we said, we appreciate their existence, so
yeah,
to speak.
we feel seen but
But
also offended.
we can do better than that. And excuse me, I'm trying to find his name. I'm having a dad moment here. But there's oh no, that's not him. There is a an executive producer that we got to shout out, who not only fought for um black characters in the MCU, but
Mm,
he's the reason why they're in the MCU, and he what's it called? He also uh was like executive producer of Black Panther, and I for the love of me I can't remember his name, but I'll find it in a second. But yeah, he talked about, and I saw in an interview how he fought so much just to get War Machine on screen. How he fought so much um, just to get Falcon on the screen, and then
yeah,
eventually was able to be executive producer of Black Panther. And I was like, yeah, man, that's what's up, bro. Like, cause he, I gotta imagine it was a struggle for him,
yeah. It was like
cause
Nate Moore or something. I think it
Nate
was.
Moore.
Oh
Thank you,
yeah,
bro. Thank you.
incredible names too.
I knew it was an N and an M name. I knew it was an N
Yeah,
M name. And but yeah, like I seen him in interviews and he was fighting for these characters. And now look, we got so many black characters on screen in the MCU. You know, but yeah, shout out to Nate Moore, you know, as comedian Godfrey likes to say, black fact, so
yeah,
shout out to Nate Moore for having boots on the ground and doing that hard work to get these movies out here.
yeah. Now, that's actually, what is was your first favorite black character? What was your first favorite black like inspiration you've seen on TV or in comics?
Blade.
Blade. Blade was the first one. Oh, wow.
Blade. What was yours?
Mine was like my brother used to leave cartoons and anime on when I fell asleep at night when I was a kid, so it was always like Naruto, Killer Bee, and type of like I think it was probably the Bleach. The first black girl I seen was the one girl on Bleach. I forgot her
So
name.
it's funny that you say that, bro, because both examples you gave, Naruto and Bleach, had great black representation,
Yeah, yeah, they're very
as
powerful.
opposed to like One Punch Man, Dragon Ball Z, like these characters with big pink lips and
I didn't even think
dark
about
skin.
that. Like maybe it was Mr. Popo, honestly. I don't know.
Bro, like
Or
there
like
was
Jinx
so
and Popo.
many like let's not pretend like there isn't some racism out there in foreign countries and stuff, and some black there's anime that I have chosen not to watch because I saw a black character that was just it was a problem. One Punch Man being one of them. I just don't
Yeah,
watch it. I never got back to it. People tell me I should get back to it. I just haven't. I saw that one black guy and I was like, I'm good. I'm cool. I'm good, man. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's great. But
it looks great.
Naruto and Bleach are praised for their black characters and their black character designs.
Yep. They make Max look really cool, do really good things, actually make an impact in the story in some type of way.
Yes, yes, and they're not like, and to what you just said, they're good characters. They have good character arcs. They're not like the magical Negroes. They're
Yeah,
not like, oh, we can do anything and everything. Like they actually they bleed just like everybody else. They have stories. I really love the Cloud clan in Naruto. Man, it's
yeah.
Killer Bee and all of them. It's awesome, man. I love it. Um, maybe this podcast or the next we can talk about the the odd thing about how black characters in anime and comics and cartoons always seem to have electrical powers, which is
Oh,
funny.
right, like Static Shock. Static Shock might have been a close one too, honestly. Static Shock
Static
on
Shock.
Teen Titans. I forgot they have
What's
Black
the
Panther.
name? Miles Morales and Spider-Man. What we're about
Yeah,
to
they
talk
get.
to
I
today.
don't know what. It's actually very strange. Is that giving like a little electric powers for no reason.
Black Lightning, the whole Cloud Clan in Naruto. You know,
Yeah,
black characters for whatever reason in fiction gotta have electrical powers. I don't know why. I mean, the son of T'Challa in the comic books, he has electrical powers because his mom is Storm. You know, so many
right.
black characters have electrical powers, but I guess that's a different conversation for a different time. But
It's
yeah.
pretty cool
So
power.
it is a cool power, and I have a theory that because black characters were treated so poorly in the beginning that they needed something more visceral on the paper to look cool for them,
Yeah,
and nothing looks cooler than electrical powers, you know, to show that they have power. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, so we're here today to talk about Black Panther and Spider Verse. I think we'll talk about Black Panther first because
cool, cool.
we'll go in order of when it was released.
All right.
So Black Panther came out in February 2018. Um, how many times did you see this movie in theaters?
In theaters, I saw it probably about 3 times. At home with other people, it was like at least 5 or 6. You know, everyone in the family had to watch it. 'Cause it was so popular. So,
Word.
especially our families, we had to like all see with different each other and see it multiple times. We had to talk about it and all that fun stuff. So
Facts,
it was
bro.
definitely like, and everyone's always doing like the Wakanda symbol, like hit their chest thing. New York, that was a big thing. That's where a lot of my family is in New York.
Oh
So
yeah.
they were always just walking around doing that, just setting their representation, all that. So it was
You know, it's
very
funny too. A lot of people was like start calling certain people colonizers
yes,
after that movie came out.
yes. That was
Like
all on social media.
yo, you a colonizer. That's why you talking like.
Yep, yep. And the big thing is actually, I guess I guess it wouldn't be that surprising, but the majority of people agreed with Killmonger in the movie rather than T'Challa in a lot of ways. I feel like, at least people I
Bro,
know.
they did what's it called? They did that thing where it was hashtag. They did a hashtag Killmonger was right. You know,
Yes, yep, yep.
I mean, shout out to Infinity War because that came out in 2018 too after Black Panther,
Mm.
and they had a movement after that called hashtag Thanos was right. But yeah,
That's not safe.
but Killmonger was first. You know, hashtag Killmonger, and we'll talk about. Matter of fact, let's talk about that now, bro.
Yep, yep.
His character. Shout out to Chris, aka Prince, who gave a quote in a group chat. This was like a couple years ago. Who said it was somebody on the internet that he put in the group chat that said,
Mm.
"Have you noticed that a lot of Marvel characters who are really good and have a really good reason why they're doing a lot of villains who have a good reason why they're doing something like Thanos and Killmonger, they they don't know how to write. They write themselves into a corner to where they have to make the villain do something so heinous that audiences stop liking him. And it was like, yo, Killmonger was right until he did something grimy. And then we had to be like, all right, we got to get this guy out of here. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of true.
Yeah, until he does something like unredeemable, like to the really far end of the spectrum, then it's like okay, then we can't actually fully agree with him anymore because his ideas are a little different. But his thought process is all connecting. Everyone's like, that makes sense. Even the show, like, that actually works. That all connects.
I remember in the theaters when he was making his speech before he fought T'Challa. He
Yeah,
was like, I kill people in Iraq. I kill people in such and such. And then he was like, I kill my own brothers and sisters in this own continent just to get to you. And then some people in the audience was like, oh.
yeah. It's like
I was
oh,
like, oh, he
okay,
lost the audience right there. Okay.
yeah,
That was the moment that they was like, oh, okay, we're not on this side anymore.
yeah.
You know,
That
because
wasn't improv. That
he
was
was spitting facts, Joe. He was like, yo, man, where was y'all all those years that we were struggling in every other land? Y'all could have helped us out. Like he was spitting facts. And so they had to do something crazy where he was just like, and then he turned out to be the bully. You know, he was like, "Is this your king?" And then he ain't had to throw him off the waterfall, but he did it.
Yeah,
You know?
he did it. This show has superiority of it all, and it's like, even in the beginning of the movie, his T'Challa's dad, that was his whole thing. So everyone that goes to like the outside world always comes back saying the same thing Killmonger does. Like, we should go out there and help people. Even like T'Challa's like
Mm-hmm.
wife or girlfriend in the movie.
Yeah, Nakia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nakia, she even said like we could be doing so much more and all this other stuff, but no one inside wanted to do it. So
and just to be clear, I know in the comics, Killmonger always throws T'Challa off a waterfall. I'm just saying
mm.
he had to do all that,
Yeah,
but like,
do all dramatically.
but yeah, you're right. I mean, one thing they couldn't touch in the comics, I mean, in the movie that they do touch in the comics, they do get a little more, uh, little more deep into the racial issue of Wakanda, of the fact that in the comics they talk about, they will never leave us alone because we're black and we're disadvantaged if we told the world about us. Which is why they stay secret and stuff. Whatever you may think, I think there's some truth to that statement. But
Yep.
like yeah, like you said, everybody who goes out comes back. It's like, yo, we can do more. And I remember watching interviews with uh, Joe Robert Cole, I think his name is, and Ryan Coogler, the writers. Ryan Coogler also directed. They were talking about, once we got this assignment, we was just like, yo, what does it mean to be black?
Mm.
What does it mean to be African descent but never been to Africa, just lived here? And so I think that question is what birthed Killmonger. I think it's an African proverb that says, the child who is banished from the village, oh, the child who is never embraced from the village will burn it just to feel its warmth. And that is really Killmonger in a nutshell.
Yeah,
you
that's his
know,
whole shtick.
that's his whole shtick. Like, to the point that, anybody, because we live in the African diaspora, diaspora, however you want to pronounce it. If you're of African descent, and you don't live in Africa, or you're not from Africa, you're considered in the diaspora. Um, you could connect with his character pretty well,
Yep.
so to speak. Because you see how he's from the outside and the fact that they don't accept him. I mean, there has been some pushback between black descendants and Africans for years. So you can kind of see that worked into the movie, and it's kind of brilliant how Cole and Kugler kind of worked that into the script and put all that into one character, and it actually worked. He held the whole black experience on his back.
Yeah, and it's like so many people connected to that being a descendant part of the Killmonger. That's why it became such an idol, so popular with everybody. And it's actually only a little bit unrealistic the way he grew up because he became an orphan after they killed his dad. He was just left on the street. There's no way in those black orphanages that he was able to do so much, go to Harvard, get the degree. They boosted him up so much in those like that backstory, going to the military, being a secret service
Well, he
person.
could have enlisted, and then they could have paid for his education.
They could have, but it's like they pay for his education though back in those times, like the way he grew up. I don't know.
I think they would have. I mean, a lot of people came up. I know a lot of vets who came up from, humble beginnings, and because they became career military people, they were able to get to a higher level of living and education, and they bleed, the red, white, and blue because of it.
Yeah,
But I mean, Killmonger, his character, he went through that, but he still held on to that hate. I mean, that's a lot of hate to hold on to. You hate where you're from, you hate where your ancestors are. Like, he hated Wakanda, he hated America. This dude became one of the most efficient killers in the world because of hate.
and that seems like so much. It seems so realistic. Actually, it's his personality. The much he hated, the much he like held on for so long. It just okay. That just boils all over as soon as he gets there, and he finally gets the spot he wants. And part of it is like he didn't know what to do with all the. Well, he didn't know what to do with the power. Just send all the weapons out,
Oh
which
yeah, yeah.
which is
He
not
had
usually
this
the best.
planned out.
Yeah, he had time to plan this out and just like do this revenge process. But oh my god, and that's the thing too. Would you actually agree with his method or just stay with Kuchal's method? And because I don't think I think people needed the help, but did they deserve the help? They that was it Wakanda had to offer is my question. It's just
If I was in, first of all, I wouldn't be in this position. I think, you know, I think that's too much power for one man. But you know, that's just my opinion. Um, I don't know. I think because things aren't as black and white as they used to be. You know,
exactly.
things are a little more subtle and a little. There's a little more subterfuge in the racism nowadays, and a lot of what's going on, despite what some people may think, I believe it's more systematic.
Mm,
It's of course there's still racism out there. There's people who hate people because of the way they look, but a lot of what's going on nowadays is systematic with like redlining, with people not getting the amenities that other people are getting because of their area codes, and
yeah,
people are being forced into those area codes because of how they look and stuff. But you know, it's more systematic nowadays, and so to just give people weapons because of their skin, I don't think solves the problem. Because, in any race, this isn't just black. In any race, there is fighting within the race. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like, and when it comes to black people, well, when it comes to anybody who's not white, they call it colorism, right? Where you
Hmm.
hate your own people who look like you because of because they look like you. And even with white people, I don't know about you, Will, but I've met some white people who don't like white people, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
I've
oh,
known
okay,
some.
yeah, right. So
Yeah,
I'm like, within each race, there's some infighting, so it's like you just can't. That's not going to solve the problem, really. And this is a guy operating off of hate. So he's just like, yo, I honestly, he reminded me of the Joker from The Dark Knight because it's like he just wanted to watch the world burn. And
hmm.
it's funny too because Michael B. Jordan said one of his inspirations for Killmonger was Heath Ledger's Joker specifically.
Oh right, yeah,
So, um, yeah, I don't think that would have solved anything. I think he just would have had a lot more war on his hands. But I don't think he was worried about that because he's like, even if there's a world war, I live in Wakanda and I got the best weapons and fighters. What you gonna do anyway?
yeah. He's gonna
So
win regardless. That's what his plan was, just to win
yeah,
by overpressing the other people.
and maybe that was his plan to burn every establishment down, as to have Wakanda as the reigning empire. I think he did say that too.
Yeah, I
Like
think that
everybody
was his
would,
main objective, just to have
yeah,
Wakanda rule over everything, and they'll start from
yeah,
there. So,
yeah. It's crazy, man. I mean, I will say, I will say, um, I forgot his name. The actor who played Killmonger. I just had a brain fart.
oh, Michael B.
Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, this is what happens when you have kids. You lose your memory.
Yeah,
Um, Michael B. really surprised me in this movie. I feel like he stepped up acting wise in this movie because I kind of felt like he played the same kind of character before this, and then in this one, because I was like, Michael B. as Killmonger. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like he killed it. I don't know what you think, man.
yeah, he did a lot actually in this movie. I think he does a lot for a lot of black representation in like superhero movie. I think he's pretty much a nerd too in a lot
Oh
of
yeah, he
things.
is.
Yeah,
His
in a
favorite
lot.
anime is Naruto. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Naruto. A lot of he's in a lot of adaptations too. Like, I know I'm bringing up something else, but Digimon just came out a new set that has Michael B. Jordan in now as a new card. It's called Marvin Jackson. So they just called it just made him look like Michael B. Jordan. That's him. So he's in actually a lot
um,
of different things, and
mhm.
really representing the black community in a lot of ways. So his acting has pushed towards more representation, especially since he's really good. So it's like everyone like see him on
Yeah,
screen.
yeah. He's really grown. He was a child actor, and he's really
Yeah.
grown. And Creed 3, a lot of because he directed Creed 3, a lot of what
Yes.
he did with the fight scenes was mirrored after the fight scenes in Naruto and other anime. And it's funny too in Black Panther. There's a rumor. I think it was confirmed that he based his Killmonger chest plate off of Vegeta's armor
Oh
in
yeah,
Dragon
that's
Ball
what he
Z.
did. That is true.
In Dragon Ball Z, I was like, oh yeah, that looks dope. But besides that, everybody. I feel like it was a stellar cast. Everybody rocked the game. It was great. Now the movie, let's put some numbers on this, John. Now estimated the movie was a $200 million budget,
Yep.
and it grossed over a billion
Ooh.
worldwide. It's like 1.3, 1.35 million. I mean billion. So yeah,
That was
yeah,
in like the first year, right? I forgot how long that was. Let me
that was
see.
first
Opening,
year.
yeah, first year, yeah.
Yeah,
Opening
gross
weekend, probably
worldwide.
like crazy.
Opening weekend, it made its money back. Well, it made its production cost back 200 over 200 million. I'm like, what? And I believe it because I was one of those people who saw it twice in 1 week.
Yeah, yeah.
And bro, I don't know about you, but there was grown men crying in the theaters when I watched it.
Oh,
Black
yeah.
men.
I think I was actually still working at the movie theater that time when Black Panther came out. Well, that's probably I saw it for free a few times. That's, but yeah, oh my god, it was packed. It was ridiculous. Usually Marvel movies and stuff like that are always ridiculous during opening week.
Hmm.
People just wait for it outside, or it's coming pack up theaters, and so it was really a big event for everybody.
Oh yeah, people were showing up in African attire and
Yeah, yeah,
stuff,
everyone
man.
dressed up doing all that Black Panther,
I
especially
wore
like
all
oh my
black,
god, yep,
it was
yep.
crazy.
Get the accessories out and all that.
Yo, people who never watch comic book movies came out to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. That was the really big thing too. Like a lot of people that not into superhero Marvel movies came to watch this black representation of this like African descendant sort of movie. It's because they saw the trailer to connect it with them in in one way or another, and that's really what brings them to the theaters and to these type of films.
Yeah, my mom saw it multiple times and she don't like this stuff at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of these older people came, never don't understand the whole aspect of Marvel, like the storyline, but they liked this movie and they wanted to keep
Yeah.
staying in this genre, like a type of thing. So they probably watched like Black Lightning, the TV show after this or something, just to get the feel going. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, like Hollywood started fast tracking black superheroes, black science fiction, like everything black, black, everything was starting to get fast tracked to the point that everybody was trying to be Black Panther. You know,
Yeah,
it was crazy, but yeah, a lot of people I heard they watched it because it was like a lot of African American studies people was like Wakanda is like the idea of like Afrofuturism. What
hmm,
would it be like if Africa was never touched by colonialism? Because in a lot of ways, Africa was ahead of its time, especially with mathematics and philosophy, and then you know, obviously colonialism came around. Because people tend to forget Africa is a continent. All right,
yeah,
the
a lot of
largest
people do.
continent in the world. It's a continent. Well, one of the largest. I think it's the second largest, but the largest continent in the world, and it has all these countries within it. You know, it's
Yes,
not a country; it's a continent. So a lot of these countries were pretty advanced in their um, mathematics and learning and their philosophy, and which science grew from. But yeah, like imagine if Africa wasn't touched by colonialism. What if maybe we wouldn't have flying cars like in Wakanda, but it would have been an amazing thing to see, you know. And that's why people were so excited to um, watch this movie. A movie that was a comic book movie from the MCU that some people still wanted to write off, but I think it was one of the first Marvel movies to ever get a Oscar nomination.
oh really? Okay, yeah,
And I think it did. Yeah, it did win. It won 3 Oscars. I know one of it was for wardrobe.
yep,
Um,
yep, that made sense. I can always talk about the
I don't know
outfits
what
in
the
that movie too, the actual attire they all wore. It was it was very futuristic African, like you said. It was very nice, very sleek. They always made them look better than like if they show like an American person, or like if they're in a different country, they always show them look more sophisticated, more advanced in just their Chadwick in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the other day too, just again. He looked
Right.
clean every shot he was in. For some reason,
Yeah.
he's had the
Yeah,
swagger and
man.
like the in all scenes he was just walking through the hall. You already knew he was like someone powerful, and so
Yeah,
they
man.
really represented there.
I mean, So shout out to Ruthie Carter. She is a costume designer in Hollywood,
Mm,
black lady. She won the Oscar that year for costumes for Black Panther. Ludwig Göransson, I think he's Swedish. He won for music written for a motion picture original
right.
score. So yeah, I mean it was dope. I mean Kendrick Lamar and SZA, they won for uh best achievement in music written for a motion picture, so original song.
Yeah, there's a song
But
for it.
I mean the soundtrack itself was amazing. I still play this soundtrack on
Mm,
repeat, you know. With the music that was the songs that were made for it, even with the original score by Ludwig Göransson, who I followed his career from the beginning, where he was like the main producer for Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover, and then he started doing TV. He did a Community, so he has a very vast repertoire. And after Black Panther, he really blown up to where he's doing the Mandalorian. He did Wakanda Forever. Like he did Oppenheimer. The guy
right,
is
right.
killing. You know, I don't want to stay too long on this movie, but it's an amazing movie, man. It really shaped the landscape for Hollywood. It really changed people's perception of not just black cinema, but um, what's it called, comic book movies as a whole. Like you can tell a serious story, which I felt like the MCU was doing, but I don't feel like people was taking the MCU too serious until Black Panther. And then it's like, yo, Black Panther influenced fashion. Like they started a fashion line based off of the
Yes.
clothes in Black Panther. Like people started writing like dissertations on what it would have been like if Africa was never touched by colonialism. What would Afrofuturism look like and stuff like that? Like, I mean, I remember we was in film school at the time, and
Mm,
one of my professors set aside a day just to talk about the impact of Black Panther and how it was like why it was so good, not just because of what was on the screen, but what they were trying to tell the audience and stuff like that. And I mean, I mean, for me, it touched me. I don't know if you got emotional during the movie, but I got emotional
yeah,
the
it
first
really
time I
made
saw
me
it.
like think about a lot of those things. I usually don't watch a lot of those African American black movies a lot just because my family does a lot, so I'm used to watching those growing up as a kid. But like segregation, all that stuff. But it really a different
Facts, yeah.
aspect of it really grew touched me in a way. And like even the woman empowerment part, my mom loves that, so she watched it a lot of times just because the Wakanda women were so powerful and the way they looked, and actually like the defenders of Wakanda instead of all these men that are out here doing nothing. So it really actually showed up. It hit a lot of different people. I think it hit a lot of different genres. Yeah, I think that
I
was just a great
mean,
movie to watch.
not to throw shade at anybody else, but Wonder Woman came out the year prior,
Oh,
and I remember when Black Panther, yeah, it came out in 2017. I remember when Black Panther came out. People was like, "Yo, this is more of a Wonder Woman movie than Wonder Woman." I was like, "Damn,
yeah,
shade." But I mean, yeah, man, it was a crazy movie. I mean, especially like you 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 said something that I was going to touch on, but I forgot. I will say this, as a dark skinned man, like we were not represented on screen that much. And to see a whole cast of dark skinned black people and they're not cooning, they're not acting funny, they're not being killed off screen in the first 5 minutes.
yep,
Like it was a powerful display and it man, I got emotional. It touched me. And, as a little black kid who when I was growing up, I'm older than you. When I was growing up, you weren't allowed to say that you were black and a nerd. You had to hide that. You had to hide it. And when I found out about Black Panther when I was a kid, I was like, oh, this is my guy now. this
yeah,
this is my guy. And then to see him on screen killing it and still being regal and a king and still a good guy. He wasn't doing nothing crazy. Like, come on, man. Like it was the perfect recipe for everything. And I loved it. I still love it, man. I watch it every February for Black History Month.
yeah. It's a good one to watch, honestly. Yeah,
Oh yeah, and this was I was going to say because you brought up, as a black kid, you watched a lot of like those movies about Black history.
Oh
You know,
yes.
same. I started watching that as a young kid, so my parents would let me know. But a lot of times we're just told as we're just told the that we were slaves. We came on a boat and that's it. You know,
Hmm.
that's pretty much where Black history stops in America, or starts in America. They don't talk about how we were kings and queens in some of the countries in Africa. You know, not every country I know, but some of us were kings and queens, and how we were very smart, built the pyramids, mathematics, philosophy. We talked about it. Had one of the world's largest libraries in Africa, um, and many philosophers, especially from Greece, came over to Africa to um, make the philosophy that we all read today, still read today. So, to see that, because before, most of the time, the movies that we were where we was truly represented, where we were mainly the cast, was the 12 Years of Slaves, the Amistades, you know,
Yep. Yep.
glorifying black trauma. This was the first time on a huge scale to where somebody put $200 million on the table to show you black excellence, to show you black triumph. It wasn't black trauma, and I
Yeah.
loved it.
Really.
And ever since then, I couldn't go back. But we'll talk about that later after we talk about Spider Man. But anything else you want to
Yeah.
add about Black Panther?
Uh, no, I think I know it opened up a lot of like different type of shows and stuff coming out afterwards. Like I know Netflix has a few really just black empowered shows now, just not like black suffering. Even as like they go back in time, I think they had some like one old western black movie or show came out not too long ago, or like they're coming out a new one called like some Harriet one, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's really just a lot of different stuff that opened up many different industries to the idea of having these black empowering movies instead of just suffering and showing the same history we've been seeing throughout all both our generations. So
Yeah, a lot of black creators got jobs because of Black Panther because they was like, we
yeah,
need black stories, but we don't have any black storytellers.
it's like
So
oh man.
yeah, we need more black triumphant stories. But so let's fast forward to I
Yeah.
think it was November or December it came out. Oh, December it came out.
Okay.
Spider Verse, Spider Man into Spider Verse. Oh, I rewatched this. I mean, obviously, I watched Black Panther in this week to bone up on the stuff, but rewatching this, I was just blown away. I
Yeah.
mean, the newest one just came out not too long ago. Watch that. I love it, but I think I still love the first one more.
Yeah, there's no like really big thing. It's always gonna go back to the first one. The first one has started it all. It represented him. Miles Morales very good. Came out with the games, which blew people away so much. But in this movie, I think Miles had like a black father and a Hispanic mother, and having those two clashes in New York City, I think it represented it very well. And just like his lifestyle at that point hit a lot of different point marks that a lot of people in that area understood.
Yeah,
So it was just a
especially
great.
representing for the Afro Latinos out there.
Yeah, even like the animation was like in the first hour is like so much work just in the first hour, like 30 minutes. You're like, this is way too much work I've seen already, and
But
that's oh my
it's
god,
passion. You see passion on the screen
yeah. And so
with
like so many people
animation.
like try to mimic that art style, and they still do right now. Like even if you go on like Instagram, Facebook, or like any social media, like everyone's trying to mimic the Miles Morales art style with the little glitch effects, little comic book type of action they have going on, and it's really
Yeah,
just
man.
inspirational.
Yeah, man. So Spider Verse comes out, and when it was announced, I was like, "Oh, it's about Miles Morales." Yo, Miles Morales is dope, man. I know we got a lot of hate because he took Peter Parker's spot in the Ultimate Universe, whatever. But I always liked him, and they changed his origin story a little bit in this, and I think they changed it for the better. It was a little less convoluted, a little more streamlined, and it was easier to digest. You know, I think
Yeah,
that's what movies should do for origin stories. Make it
yeah,
more
yeah.
streamlined. Um, so you, my friend, you're Afro Latino or Afro Hispanic. Any, I don't know which way you say it, but How did you feel represented on screen by this?
Oh, my mom's actually from Aruba, and my dad's from New York. So
Shout
um,
out New York. My
yeah,
mom's
yeah,
from New York.
yeah. I forgot my mom actually learned Spanish like when she was a kid, but she totally forgot when she grew up because we lived down here. So I did not grow up with any Hispanic like heritage like that, and my grandma was never around. So either way, seeing Miles Morales was actually pretty cool. Seeing how he could do all this, smart kid building all this stuff. Has we all have the same uncle type of thing that takes you like lets you get
Right,
away
right.
with
Everybody
stuff.
got that kind of uncle, yo.
Or the kind of uncle, we already know, but it was
But
really good. I liked it.
I liked how he had like natural hair. You know
Yes,
what I'm
yes, he
saying?
had the natural hair and everything.
And they didn't try to like complicate it. It was like, how could it fit in the mask? I mean, how many cartoons and comic books where Peter Parker has this crazy ass messy hair, and then he puts on a mask and it still fits?
Yep.
It's the same thing for Miles Morales. Obviously that wouldn't really work, but it's a cartoon. There's things you can get away with in animation that you can't get away with in live action. So we'll just leave it at that because that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, man, like I love Miles Morales, and this movie. I mean, this movie really put off. It really took what Black Panther started and started running with it because it was oozing Afro Latino culture. I mean, the music. I mean, we talked about Black Panther's um, soundtrack. This
Yeah.
soundtrack is another soundtrack that I still listen to this day. You know, it the music was crazy, and I mean, we had Biggie up in there. We had people we never heard of up in there with like reggaeton beats, hip hop beats. Like it was great, but it really immersed you in the world of like New York and obviously this is like a hyper surrealized version of New York
Yeah, yeah,
because
exactly.
things are different. It's in a different universe. Because I remember his dad was like PDNY. Like they say PDNY instead of NYPD. It's even on the side of the car.
Yep, yep.
But like it was great, man. I love this movie. This movie has changed the landscape of animation and art. Period. I mean, it's crazy
Yeah, the
how it
limits of
looks.
what people can do now just after from seeing that movie is kind of ridiculous. Even in like the trailer of the second one, I think the you only seen the trailer. The guy there's a kid that actually made a Lego adaptation
Yeah,
of the trailer, and he was only 14 years old, and was just a black kid, and just using Blender for the trailer, and he just redid it all with Lego, the 3D
he
models of
got
Legos.
hired to do that Lego sequence in the second movie.
Yeah, he got hired to do the Lego scene in the second one, but they didn't really know he was 14 at first until they actually like
Yeah,
saw him like a little later. So they offered him
yeah,
the job. He's like, oh, he's only 14. So like after school, he would just create this
right.
movie. Even with the trailer, he was just doing after school, putting the work in Blender for like a month, maybe a few
Black
weeks.
fact.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
fun.
I mean, once I forgot what it's called, but it's like I think it's called escalation or something like that.
Mm,
Once people can like something may seem impossible, but once at least one person achieves it, then the amount of people that achieve it and go beyond it is just like it just skyrockets. Like if you think you can't swim over to that side or whatever because it's not humanly possible, and then you see one person do it, 1,000 other people will be like, "Oh, it's possible. You can do it." Like the thing that they've done in this animation in Spider Verse was so crazy that almost every animation like wants to incorporate 2D with the 3D. Like Sony had to put a patent on this art style because they had to develop so many different algorithms and styles to
yeah,
do this. Like I saw that they did like a AI, not an AI, but like an algorithm to where if the character moves their eyebrow a certain way, like a line will form, like a 2D line will form. I'm like that's crazy.
yeah. A lot of
Mixing
programming
the
went into
different
there.
FPS. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the amount of mixing frame rates in
Hmm.
one shot. It's crazy. Like the background's on ones, the character Miles is on twos, and then Like it's crazy. I mean, so let me ask you this, because you're an animation guy, you're a graphics guy, you're a 3D modeler guy. I saw Quarter Crew. I saw a review that they had. One of the guys who was a Hollywood animator or whatever, he said that scene with Miles and Peter B. Parker swinging around, he didn't really like, because he was like, the idea of animation, you want to get it as smooth as possible. Now he understood that Peter B was on ones and Miles Morales was on twos to convey how seasoned Peter was,
Yeah.
as opposed to Miles, who was new. He was like, but you could have done that in a different way to make him look sloppy. Did that bother you when you watched it? Do you agree with that or not?
I don't think it bothered me as much. It did seem a little like strange and choppy a little bit, but that's just because I look at that constantly. So, but
Hmm.
as a regular viewer, it just seemed like a easy way for like to show the mentor and like his experience and how Miles is starting out trying to learn how to swing. And I think the girl was in there too for a little bit of the swing. Are you talking about the forest scene, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She was on ones too.
yeah, she was on one too. Yeah, so it did seem a little like it wasn't as smooth as it could be, but
Hmm.
I still agree with the choice if it's simplicity wise.
Yeah, like I thought it was creative.
Yeah, exactly.
I could see how that would annoy an animator when he watches it. Like sometimes we'll watch a movie and I'll say, "Yo, that was good," and then you'll be like, "Nah, the CGI was garbage." I'm like, "Oh, nah, it looked fine to me," but that's
Yeah,
because you do CGI. Like so you would see certain things that I don't see. But yeah, it didn't bother me. I thought that was clever how they would mix certain um, frames frame rates up in the movie. It really gave it a unique flow to it, a unique motion to it.
yeah, and it probably doesn't bother me as much because the whole movie had that uniqueness to it that like it's trying something different. So seeing more different stuff that I probably wouldn't try myself is it kind of just
Mhm.
fit the whole theme of it trying to like push the boundaries further and what they can do and seeing what they can work with.
Right, right. Because I mean, once you establish that in your universe, which they did pretty early on in the
Yeah,
movie, you know, um, and like the story itself is kind of kooky. I'm actually kind of amazed that it worked. The idea of all these spider people on screen with universe hopping and da da da. Like they really kicked off the multiverse. I don't. I feel like every other Marvel themselves tried to play catch up. They're still trying to play catch up. I feel
yeah,
like Spider Verse really kicked off the idea of like, hey, there's a way to use the multiverse in a smart way, and everybody else still to this day is doing it wrong, as opposed to Spider Verse, who I feel like is doing it right.
yeah.
But
It's
they
like
really kicked that off.
yeah, it's like bringing in all those different like styles and genres just into one universe is just a feat on its own, honestly. And just having like all these different having the same character but different versions in the same universe is just a ridiculous idea in general. That like even in the live action like Spider Man with the
Oh
oh
yeah, No Way Home, I think it's
yeah, No
called.
Way Home, and they bring in the other ones like that. That was cool for the audience. That was like a really cool thing. Really impact a lot of people. But in like Spider Verse, it just worked well because they're doing all these different art styles already in the in the genre. So it's like okay, we're just bringing more of different art styles and have more of the glitch effect. And
Yeah, some
yeah, it
things
was
are
really
done
good.
better in animation.
Yeah, it was definitely done better animation, 100%. So those things you can't do in live action. That the way they did in Spider Verse, which is probably why they did that.
Yeah, everybody had their own unique style. I mean, from Spider-Man Noir to Spider Porker, like all the animation was different and the style the of the characters was different, but it all worked. It was all feasible to where it worked out to this cohesive story, and it was great. I mean, like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man himself, you could see how his world is on one end, and I feel like Gwen and Peter B's universes are as close to his as they could be.
Yeah,
Um, Now, obviously, in the second movie, you see how Gwen's is different and how hers is stylized and everything. But in this one, you really see how different everybody could be, even if it's to the little twinge. You know, like Peter B and Miles Morales, really, they really worked as like that apprentice and that mentor. The mentor who doesn't want to be a mentor, but is a mentor by default, and then he ends up learning something about himself in the end, and it was so wholesome. It really worked, and I love it. I mean, I love this movie, man. There's so much to say. I'm going all over the
yeah,
place,
like the
but
pop culture references in the movie were great. Like how the mentor, like he learned his lesson from Peter, from Miles as well. You know, it's a lot of different ideals and a lot to learn from. Just like even this seeing Miles do like the first jump, the first step is to jump off, whatever. That scene was very impactful. They did that
Mhm.
very well, I think. Just seeing
Yeah,
him do that.
I'm glad for Phil Lord and Miller. They got fired from the Han Solo movie, and then
Okay.
their next big project is this, and I was like, yeah, you guys won. You guys
Yeah.
won, man. You did it. They produced this. Um, and it was great. You could see the humor. You could see it has a lot of humor. It has a lot of heart. And I mean, they're dealing with some serious issues here. I mean, Peter B. Parker, his whole marriage failed because he was afraid to have kids because of his secret identity and what's going on. Gwen, I mean, the way she is because she couldn't save her friend who was her version of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And Miles, he in the end, in the middle of the movie, his uncle is killed by Kingpin. His uncle, first of all, that design of Prowler is excellent in this movie.
Yeah, it's very good. Very like I like the suit a lot. I like the outfits. It's very well made.
It's very good. Now, when you just look at a character design aspect, it looks kind of goofy, like with the scarf and the collar that's going up and the cape. But
Yep.
in the movie itself, when he's moving with that crazy synth sound by Daniel Pemberton, the guy who composed the music for this movie, it's insane. Like he's scary, he's loud, he's big, he's stealthy, and it just works. It's one of those things where you have to see it in motion, or else it's gonna look goofy.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense if you just see like a standstill images of it. The images don't do it justice until you see him like actually fight with it and see those type of movements. And did he
Yes.
have electric powers too? Honestly, I think he might have some shocking power or shocking in
Who?
his suit, Prowler.
Oh no! It was
No.
like he had neon lights on his suit.
Yeah, neon lights. Okay, no electricity,
Yeah.
anything on him. All right, cool, cool.
Nah, he didn't have electric. Miles has electricity,
Yeah,
but
Miles electricity was.
but yeah, like I thought that was cool. I like to see their dynamic. That's always been in the comics how him and his uncle is close, and then he finds out that his uncle is the Prowler and stuff. But it was great, man. I thought the casting for this movie was perfect. I mean, Jake Johnson as Peter B. Parker, Chris Pine as Peter A. Parker, um,
Yeah,
Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir. I mean, he's like stealing every scene that he's in. He's like, my
exactly.
uncle's the Prowler. He tried to kill me. He's like, whoa, this is shaping up to be a really good origin story.
I know, right?
John Mulaney as Peter Porker is great.
Yeah, I
Haley
love him.
Steinfeld
Yeah,
as
yeah.
Gwen Stacy. I mean, the cast is stellar. It's crazy.
Yeah, they didn't cut corners on the casting, that's for sure. I've noticed. Yeah, I think my favorite thing about that movie was the how Miles spray painted and drew like because as an artist I used to like do that all the time as a kid, just draw my notebook or like draw in the sketchbook during class. So seeing him do
I was
that,
just about to say
I
that.
was like, oh my god! Even his artwork on these walls, it just they have a meaning to it. You know, he always wants to try to represent something. Even at the end when he does that spray painting of his uncle type of thing, it's really just it shows how powerful these things can be in a city like that, and how everyone gets to see it and having a piece
Yeah,
of themselves somewhere.
I wanted to ask you that because you're a graphic designer, and I like how they made his character into this kid who does art, spray paint and stuff. Actually, after watching this movie, this week I downloaded that PS2 game, Mark Echo's Getting Up, which is a spray
No,
paint fighting game.
yeah, yeah.
Shout out to those who know. Uh, but yeah, I thought that was cool because he could show like how his art conveys what he's feeling, especially that art piece that he does when he's the day that he gets bit by the spider
Mm-hmm.
is great, based off of his reading of the Great Expectation book, a book I had to read when I was a kid, and I was like, damn, that art is good. Like I'm good at drawing, but I can never do the stuff that you do. I can never do what he does. Like they must have hired like some of the greatest designers because every piece of artwork that he does in this movie is crazy.
Yeah,
Even the
it's
stuff he doesn't do, even like the art that's on the walls
oh
in New
yeah.
York in the movie is great. It's great. How much behind the scenes have you watched on this movie?
Spider. I watched quite a bit on like how they made it, how many different animes there were. Um, yeah, it was. I watched quite a bit of the behind the scenes because I kind of wanted to figure out how it was done. But as soon as like you start getting really deep into it, it becomes very complicated. I was like, oh wow, you definitely need like multiple teams on this and
Oh yeah.
different
Did you
styles.
see how they made the city? You see how
Uh
like the city was like kind of curved, like the buildings
oh
weren't on a
yes,
flat surface; they were kind of curved, and some of them were like when you see the buildings in the background when he's swinging around, it looks great. And then I saw the behind the scenes where they brought it up close to show you how the buildings are just they're wacky. Like they're not all the same shape. They're not the same. They're not even the real size of how a real building would be.
yeah.
But it's only to make them look cool in the background. I'm like, dang, like, bro, this is why I'm not a CGI guy because I'm not smart enough to think of stuff like that. Like, to make this look cool, you got to make it look crazy up front.
Yeah, you
But
got
then
like
you put it in the background, it looks great.
yeah, a lot of things from far away look good. Close up, you can see all the mistakes. So doing like, and then you can do it quicker if you make it look bad, if it's only gonna be in the background. There's a lot of shortcuts you can do to make things look
Mm,
great and just not have like be seen up close to see all the flaws with it. So you can get away with a lot of those like imperfections of showing like different size buildings and as long as it fits in the camera lens, that's all you really need to worry about. Everything else could be like all janky, like swirls and everything in the background. But as long as it looks good in the camera lens, then that's all that really matters. So use like the way people
facts.
draw and the way people like design stuff. It looks if it's only gonna be in the background, it's gonna look like low resolution. You can do a minimal effort and still make it look really good because our eyes cannot see perfection that far away anyway. So in real life,
Right.
when we look far away, it looks like a blur, it looks like a mess. So as long as we
I
keep it like
mean,
that.
even in some comics, like they don't always draw Spider-Man's webbing on his suit sometimes.
Oh yeah, I noticed. I heard about that. It's like
That would be too tedious. Too
yeah,
tedious. But
shortcuts.
and even the little attention to detail stuff, like how they went out of their way to make this look like it came off the pages of a comic book, to where
Hmm.
even like on the edges of the screen, it's out of focus, like how comics were with the little bubbles being out of focus and stuff. I'm like, just those little touches shows you that this movie was made by fans, not by committee. And you can see that kind of passion where they made it look like comic. Even when he's like talking to himself with the little bubbles popping up of dialogue, how they're designed.
Yep.
I'm like, yo, that's straight out of a comic book, man. Like, how can you not love
And the fact that they
this?
thought about like doing this more before is ridiculous. It's wild. At least to
I
this
know, right?
aspect, yeah.
I know, right? Like, the team really made a conscious decision to be like, look, this is going to be a work of art. We got a crazy concept that surprisingly they gave us money to do this.
Surprisingly, yeah, yeah.
This might be our last chance. Let's go all out. And you can see the artist and the writers and the actors, they bled on the screen, man. Like this is a this movie is a work of passion, of love, man. They love their craft. And you can tell.
Yeah, we can tell
It's
this
great.
one and the second one as well. And we could talk about the number. I think this one actually almost did it go as big as Black Panther did. It might have with similar
So I'm
numbers.
looking at I am so for people who don't know, the numbers I got were from IMDb for Black Panther. Now the numbers I got from for this movie Spider Verse, I feel like they're lower than what actually it made. So it says the estimated budget was $90 million for Spider Verse,
Mm.
and it grossed worldwide 384 million. I could have swore it did more than that.
I'm pretty sure it did over 500 million, but maybe that was
Yeah,
just a timestamp they had there for it.
probably because I could have swore it did more than that worldwide, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I know it
Could be
tripled at
wrong.
least their budget of what they had for the movies, so they definitely
Hmm.
everyone got paid pretty well for that one. Well, maybe who knows, but yeah, it
And
definitely did really
again,
well.
another black story that won an Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. It won for music, right? It won for the music, possibly, and I know it did
Nah,
animation. I'm not sure
nah.
what they won.
It was nominated,
It was nominated.
but
Okay,
it won Best Animated Feature Film.
yeah.
Now, this one I do remember. I do remember that it won Best Animated Film because I remember during the Oscars, it was like a unanimous decision by everybody in the world. If this movie doesn't win Best Animated Feature, you're all smoking. Something's wrong with y'all. And it won for good reason. I mean, we wouldn't have some of the TV shows, some of the movies that we have now without Spider Verse. I mean, Arcane, one of my
Oh
favorite,
yeah,
one of my favorite
I need to watch
recent
that again.
animes. We wouldn't have Arcane without Spider Verse. Let's be real. So I mean, this movie changed the landscape of animation to where it showed the perfect marriage of 3D and 2D animation.
Yeah, I don't forget which movies it was up against, but it definitely topped him immensely in the animation department that year.
Oh yeah, yeah, and from Sony Pictures out of anywhere,
Yeah,
I feel like Disney, Pixar, Studio Ghibli. Well, no, Studio Ghibli never won. I don't think animated film, but I feel like those were always the animation houses that always got the Oscar buzz.
definitely a lot
And
of
then all of a
recognition.
sudden,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and then all of especially the ones that were taken seriously. And
yeah,
then all of a sudden, Sony Animation comes out of nowhere with this movie and blows everybody's mind. I'm like, what?
yeah. Maybe want to start applying to that job. Jesus, it's like at least that company. I'm always looking to different animation studios to see what they've been doing, and that one really just stood out after that. Like they're willing to push, this envelope of different ideas in filming and actually start something different. So that's usually what people head towards.
Yeah, it was so successful that Sony had to double back and, like I said before, patent their what they did, their animation style for this movie because they didn't. And then when you heard about it, people was like, they didn't patent this. They better do it. And Sony was like, okay, yeah, yeah, let's do it. Like, I think they actually did it after they won the Oscar
Yeah,
is when they patented it because it was kind of late in the game, and people was like, yo, you might want to patent this before.
yeah. It's a lot of problems right now if they didn't patent it because like the AI softwares do steal different artists' work that's been going around. Supposedly, so they had to
Oh
patent it
yeah.
so they wouldn't get all their stuff, all their artists, work getting taken from just doing that alone from these AI different machines and whatnot. So as long as they patent it, they can't do that, which is nice.
Yes. Yeah. So, um, I will say we brought up these two movies because they were really the two movies that you know influenced the landscape of black cinema from now on. You know, after 2018, we got like an influx of black creators getting jobs and
Yep.
seeing more black stories where it was about triumph or just black people being regular people and insecure. That show by Issa Rae comes to mind. Black people just being black people. They don't have to be superpowered or whatever. And they don't have to be slaves. They can just be people, dealing with relationship issues and stuff like that. A really great show I recommend to people. It is TVMA, so be wary. It's on Netflix right now. But I did make a list because I do want to shout out some other movies that came out in 2018 that also showed black excellence. Too. Creed 2 came out 2018. You know, directed by a black director as well.
Yep.
It wasn't Ryan Coogler; he didn't return. It was actually one of his classmates who did it. Excuse me, and I'm drawing a blank as usual.
Mm,
But the director he recently directed the last Transformers movie, Rise of the Beasts.
mm,
Stephen Capel Jr. And Creed 2, though I feel like it wasn't as good as the first one, it was a great movie, especially because I don't know about you. I watched Rocky as a kid, and then seeing that Creed 2 trailer where the guy he's fighting, he turns his back and you see Drago on his back, you're like, yo, let's go. Let's go. So Creed 2 came out. Um, Infinity War came out as well. Infinity War, of course, had T'Challa's Black Panther in there. It also had War Machine. It also had Falcon, and it had a lot of people from Black Panther return. A lot of black, characters in there. And regrettably, I'll mention this movie too. Green Book came out in 2018,
I did it. Yeah.
but the movie we don't really want to talk about that movie. The movie that I don't know if you saw Green Book, but it was the movie that Hollywood thought that they cured racism, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so those are other movies that came out in 2018. But Black Panther and Spider Verse really put black cinema on the map, especially Black Triumph cinema, not Black Trauma. And did you see American Fiction yet?
Um. No, I don't think I've seen that one actually. No.
You should check it out because it talks about the obsession with Black trauma when it comes to stories, and I felt that. I was like, yeah, and it's a great movie. You should check out American Fiction. But Black Panther and Spider Verse with the year 2018 really skyrocketed. Great black cinema, great black stories that don't have to be about black trauma. And I just want to say thank you to that industry. Notably, both Marvel movies, even though Spider Verse is a Sony movie, it's a Marvel property, Marvel IP. Both Marvel movies, interesting enough.
Yeah.
We'll say that because I still feel like DC's running a little behind with their black characters.
They could do some with that cyborg character. I know they can. I know.
I mean, the Spider Verse. I mean, the Snyder cut did use Cyborg in a great way. I don't know if you saw it. It was a 4 hour movie.
Oh yeah. That's you know how I am with the long movies. I don't
I
know.
broke it up in 2 days. So, but yeah, but it was those are great movies. We thank you. 2018, 2018 changed the landscape to where I was just gobbling up anything that had to do with black excellence when it came to movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. All the black nerds, all the blurs have 2018 to thank for that. Have Spider Verse, have Black Panther to thank for that. We thank you wholeheartedly. Anything you want to add, Will?
No, no. I guess thanks to these movies now, we have like a lot of young black entrepreneurs trying to go out there and start their own film um, making companies like we have, you know, Nomad Productions, and actually do more with in our own community instead of trying to do the Hollywood thing as a lot of people tried before. And you
Yeah.
know, shout out to like Intergalactic for making the animated thing on Netflix not too long ago. I think
Oh
it's a
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Intergalactic was a good one. It's like a love story, but it's a
I love
little
that.
different place a pace, and you know it's really good
I didn't know you
animation
saw that.
wise.
I love that. I love Intergalactic.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. So you know, there's a lot of different things going on. And
It's like Spider Verse, but with no action. It's just about a
exactly,
relationship.
yeah, it's just about relationship. It's a little story that I'm used. I like the action movies, you know, John Wick, all that fun stuff. Um,
Yeah, but
Pointless,
it's great.
but yeah.
But
So
yeah, my nomads. Hope you learned something. You know, Happy Black History Month. R.I.P. to Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
You know, didn't get to say that last time in the last podcast. But yeah, my nomads, be creative.
All right. See you next time.
See ya.
Later.